think your microphone might need to be turned on.
Microphone?
Sorry.
And roll call, please.
Mayor Wood.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Lowry.
Here.
Councilmember Kern.
Here.
Appears as though Councilmember Sanchez and Mr. Feller are not here right now.
Okay. Closed session. Mr. Attorney.
Thank you. Council meet in closed session to discuss item 2A on the agenda, conference with real estate negotiator involving the portion of Rancho Del Oro right-of-way north of State Route 78, west of Vista Way, the portion of Hamar Drive right-of-way south of State Route 78, west of College Boulevard, and a portion of the relinquished right-of-way at the southeast corner of State Route 76 and Airport Road. Negotiating parties, City of Oceanside and BGT Media, Outfront Media, formerly CBS Outdoors, and Lamar Outdoor Advertising. Under negotiations are price and terms for the use of the real property. There'll be no meeting on item 1, the labor negotiation item.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for being here. We're going to open this meeting for February 3rd, 2016. Again, roll call, please.
Mayor Wood.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Lowry.
Here.
Councilmember Feller.
Here.
Councilmember Kern.
Here.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Here.
Later on, we'll have Don take over and handling this. But first off, we had some items removed from the council agenda. Have you got those?
Yes, item number 7 has been removed from the council discussion on the consent calendar.
Okay, thank you very much. With that, I'll go ahead and open it by saying consent calendar, please.
Yes, consent calendar items 3 through 6 and 8 through 9. No public on any of those items.
Move approval.
Second. Thank you very much. No speakers. Thank you. Go ahead and vote.
Motion is approved 5-0.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll go to items 10.
Yes, item number 10 is adoption of a resolution to certify and approve the hiring of Peter Weiss as a part-time hourly extra help consultant assistant in an amount not to exceed $72,000 during the calendar year 2016 to fill a critically needed position to provide assistance to the city manager's office in completing a number of high-profile projects such as the Destination Beach Resort, successor agency projects such as Lot 23, and to assist with various transition issues.
Thank you very much. Hi, Pat. How are you?
I'm good. I'm Pat Nunez, the HR Director, and I'll try not to cough during this presentation. Zach pretty much covered it in that introduction. Mr. Weiss is currently the Assistant City Manager and will be retiring again. He is working on several pretty high-profile projects, as mentioned by the City Clerk, and we would like to retain him and bring him back as a consultant at a $75 an hour rate to help with those projects. If you have any questions, I'll be over here.
Thank you very much. Any public on this?
No public on this
Thank
item.
you, Council. I see Esther Sanchez, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Weiss is involved in some very critical projects, including the swimming pool. So his help is really very valuable. So I'm going to go ahead and move approval and adopt the resolution.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you very much. No comments? Please vote.
Motion approved 5-0.
One in here.
11 and maybe 12, since she's going to be down here. Thank you very
Yes.
much.
Item number 11 is the adoption of a resolution to consider the final program environmental impact report for the North San Diego Water Reuse Coalition Regional Recycled Water Project as modified by the final PEIR addendum, adoption of the mitigation and monitoring reporting program, adoption of the findings of fact and statement of overriding considerations, approval of the recycled water master plan, and direction to staff to file considerations, approval of the recycled water master plan, and direction to staff to file a notice of determination with the San Diego County Clerk. Would you like me to read item number 12 as well? Is that what you, would you like me to read item number 12 as well?
No.
Okay.
We'll go. Hi, how are you?
Hi, good evening. I know that's a mouthful. I'm going to be introducing a few folks, and then I'm taking a seat so that the presentation can begin. This is Amy Chakowski, our project manager from IEC, I'm sorry. To her left is Michael Schwering. He's with Helix Environmental, and I will also be at the side for questions after the presentation. So I'm going to turn it over
Welcome,
to
both of
Amy.
you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, good evening. I apologize in advance if I get tongue-tied. There are so many various environmental things that we're trying to resolve in this one council action. But every one of these council actions is tied to our recycled water master plan. Then we have various items that we're asking for adoption that relate to our North County San Diego Water Reuse Coalition Master Program Environmental Impact Report. We're one of the 10 coalition members, so we're asking for various approval of the adoption of these various items. So background to our Recycle Master Plan and our PEIR documentation. Carollo Engineers was contracted in 2013 to provide more of a comprehensive Recycle Master Plan. In the past, we just basically had identified some users, but we never targeted what infrastructure was needed to bring it to those users. We're basically trying to really aggressively get to our 50% of local supplies by 2030. And as we said, we're part of the regional coalition, and so this is an umbrella CEQA documentation, which I'll talk about subsequently. We have had some success recently with our recycled water program. Phase 1 was completed. We're in the process of upgrading our recycled water treatment plant from 0.7 NGD up to 1.5. We've completed the conversion of our 10-inch brine line to a dedicated recycle pipeline, and we've gotten our notice of applicability for our recycled water filling station. And because we've completed all these projects and finished the construction, we were able to get Prop 50 grants of $300,000 from the Water Authority because we were able to aggressively finish these. Our plan development, what we tried to do, Carollo did as RMC as a sub-consultant, is we targeted the users and we did 5 different groups. What we tried to do is find the users that were over 50 acre-feet per year, and then we tried to lump some of the smaller HOAs and other areas. The end result of this is we divided our system into 2 distinct areas. One is the lower San Luis Rey water reclamation recycled system. We've shown some of the larger users here. We have the El Corazon Sports Complex. We have Ocean Hills, Eternal Hills, the Country Club, and the Miracosta College. Then the upper San Luis Rey water reclamation system has the Arrowwood Golf Course, Mission Vista High School, and some various groves and very large homeowners associated.
With air quality, with sound, and with greenhouse gas. Could you please explain that a little more? There's not a whole lot of reference to the areas. I'm assuming it's all of the areas that are being considered for undergrounding. I also, if you could confirm for me that the Luiseño Band of Mission Indians will also be part of this, part of the monitoring, which I didn't see, but I saw some monitoring, but I didn't see the reference to the Luiseño Band of Mission Indians within the city of Oceanside. So if you could start with the air quality, the greenhouse gas, unavoidable, at what level, why, you can explain that.
Yes. Many of the unavoidable impacts that are mentioned are temporary construction impacts.
Right.
They have to do with the air quality of the construction equipment. We follow all of the Assembly Bill requirements for those, and then many other ones are regarding traffic and some other cumulative impacts that they say that by doing this with the 10 agencies that they're unavoidable. So the findings of fact is basically saying that we understand that there's some of these unavoidable impacts, but we're willing to go forward with the project because it's that important. And then we're willing to mitigate those with all of the facts in the MMRP.
So the air quality really has to do with the construction, or what?
Yes.
Okay. And nothing else?
If we had booster pumps...
I thought I read lead as well. No?
Read what? I'm sorry.
I thought I read lead as well. No? The mineral lead?
Oh, yes.
LED.
I'd have to look into that. I'm not sure about that. And also, as far as the pre-excavation agreements, every one of our projects will require a biological and cultural resource survey. This is more of the umbrella document. So the cultural resource survey, we just did that for the Mission Basin Operations Building, and we had a pre-excavation agreement for that project, just as we did for the solar project.
With the Licenio Band of Mission Indians?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So even though it's not, I don't see the reference to it here, it is in-house a requirement? Is that
Well,
basically
each one of
what you're
these
saying?
projects has not had a biological or cultural resource study done.
Okay.
So each one of those exactly will have a detailed biological and cultural resource study done, and then probably as a result of that, we'll have the pre-excavation agreement.
Okay, and that'll come before the council?
More than likely, because as it will be just like some of our other projects, if we take, for example, the lower San Luis Rey, that long pipeline, then we'll have to get the secret documentation for that, which will more than likely be in ISMND.
Right. So some of the mitigation, even though it's not going to address it all, has to do with like the hours that it's of the operation and perhaps try to mitigate the traffic. Is
Yes.
that basically it?
Yes, hours of work. It also has to do with some of the aesthetics that we have, and then we have some also with some mechanical equipment as well.
Okay. Well, thank you for the questions, and I understand there's going to be a lot of notice to the public when the individual projects go forward, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Well, these are very important water projects for our city, and and as stated in the staff report, they are unavoidable, unfortunately. So we're going to do our best to try to minimize the impacts to our community. I do move at this point, because of the importance of these projects, that we go ahead and adopt the resolution to consider the final program environmental impact report for the North San Diego Water Reuse Coalition Regional Recycled Water Project as modified by the final program EIR addendum, and adopt the mitigation and monitoring report, adopt the findings of fact and statements of overriding considerations, approve the recycled water master plan, and direct staff to file a notice of determination. Thank you.
Do we have a second, please?
What was that again? Oh, I'll second. I'll second.
Thank you. Speaking of that, Mr. Kern, it's your turn.
Thank you. Couple things. My rough calculations here, this is about 1.8 million gallons of water a day, the 2,000 acre feet approximately per year. Is that I just doing that for the public, because the public doesn't really understand what acre feet are. It's about 326,000 gallons. So, you know, I know the public kind of thinks in gallons versus acre feet. So it's about 1.8. So that's a pretty significant amount of water that we're going to come out of this with, so that really does help our overall program. The other thing, you mentioned the Prop 50 grants. Once we certify this and we go forward, or not certified according to the city attorney, whatever he said, the idea is what other grants are available? And also, since we're part of a coalition, does that help us in grant requests?
I can answer that. There's several funding mechanisms where we've previously received money and which are available to us in the very near future. In the previous 4 years, we received funding twice through Proposition 84, which is a state-funded program. And we were very successful in obtaining that money because we were part of a regional coalition. So projects that work together with neighboring agencies are looked upon very favorably. The total amount of that award was a little under $400,000, which was used for planning as well as for construction of a portion of the system that you saw on the screen today. There's also money available through Proposition 1, which is the water bond that was passed approximately 2 years ago. That is currently open for some solicitations, and there are several solicitations that we can submit for recycled water as well as for other projects, say in the water system or the basin sustainability plan. There is also federal funding under Title 16, which may be available, or Water Smart grants, both of which are funded through the Bureau of Reclamation. And we will look at those funding mechanisms as they become available, but at the federal level, it's some large dollars. We're also working in concert with that North County coalition to go after some of the larger federal dollars. So I think there's lots of opportunities for us, and I think we're positioned very well having adopted these documents.
Yeah, just one quick, because I know we went back and lobbied on the WRDA bill as part of the coalition a couple of years ago. These grants, are they competitive or non-competitive? And just to explain to people at home, a competitive grant, you put in your application and you compete with other people to get the grant. Non-competitive grants are, you hit all the marks, you get the money.
Typically, we're seeing that most of the grants are competitive type grants.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Councilman Feller?
Thank you. Could we use 500 million gallons of water that the Water Authority let out to the ocean because of being force-fed by Met? I mean, it was a story that just came through this morning that it seems really difficult for me to think that we're doing all these things to save, to conserve water and to use it appropriately, and because we didn't have storage enough or weren't able to buy the Met evidently sent us an allotment that we're forced to purchase, so we had to release some water out of South County. So I just wonder if that's something that is working against us, or, I mean, Councilmember Sanchez was talking about, you know, all these rules for, you know, what we're going to save and how we're going to save it, and all these rules just mean that somebody's going to be delayed, or we're losing water where we shouldn't be, and I'm just asking that, you know, we try to stop the bleeding. I mean, somewhere. I'm for everything that you're doing here, but somebody has to rein in the other end, where we have no control. And maybe this coalition of wonderful neighbors around here could get together and fight that in some form or fashion. That's all I have.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wood. So I've got a kind of a general question. The intent of this spending all this money on these projects is so that we provide the community with our own kind of homegrown water source. So by processing this water, we will remove our demand for water for other businesses and community needs. We'll take it out of, instead of using fresh drinking water, which is what we are doing for the most part, we'll be using the reclaimed or recycled water. Instead, that's the idea of what we're working forward here.
That's correct.
Yes. And what will the ultimate amount of water be percentage-wise? Is that significant? Is it?
It's significant, and of course, it's always a moving target because the demands or the amount of water that customers are using every year changes. But currently, it's about 20% of the system demands if we were to go to full implementation with today's uses.
So part of what we're working for here is to provide 20% of our water needs in the community, or whatever the number happens to be, and that will give us less commitment to the outside agencies that are supplying us with water. We can control the prices here within the city, considering that we're spending a lot of money on doing that.
Absolutely.
So the idea is to give us some leverage that allows us to provide water where it's needed, and we don't have to wonder what the level is going to be from up north, whether there's snow in the Sierra, how high or low the Colorado River water is. So I think this is a great idea, and I'm really happy to see that our staff is moving forward on this, and I approve it too. Thank you.
Thank you. Nothing further. Thank you.
Can I just ask,
Sure.
we're going to do all this, spend a lot of money on all this, and it goes back to the very thing I just talked about, being forced to take more than, because we're not using as much of Met's water, or Northern California or Colorado River, because we're doing all of this. Are we going to be penalized down the road?
Well, I wish I had a crystal ball because I'd be pretty rich right now, but we're trying to mitigate the drought impacts as best we can, because there will be a time when there is another drought in the future, and local supply, this is a supply that's drought proof. And I did not see the article this morning, so I'm unable to comment on what happened there.
Ms. Sanchez?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And we have turned into the discussion to costs. And I do have a question. We're all trying to change the way we approach water and how we and what we do to try to develop an alternative source, our own source. Will there be a time that the costs will ultimately be lower to the consumer, to our ratepayers, because we do have this alternate source of water? I mean, as we adjust to the Water Authority and the Met and, up and down the state, where we're all looking for different ways of developing different sources of water locally, will there be finally a cutoff point where, just like when we conserve and we think, okay, great, our water bill is going to be less, and they are actually higher, is that a goal to finally have true costs to the ratepayer because we're using less water from outside sources?
Well, certainly, I think we've discussed that because of your earlier investments in local water supply development in the Mission Basin, we've had lower rate increases than other regional agencies in San Diego. And I think as you continue to invest in more local water supplies, you will continue to see rates that are comparably lower to those agencies. So you're mitigating against the increased cost from Metropolitan. And I think we've done a really good job at that.
So in the short term, we're going to be making these huge investments, and we're looking at grants and hoping that we can get part of that pot that the state has, made available. So the short term, we're going to have to pay for these projects. In the long term, we're hoping that, in fact, our community will be paying less for water.
That is That is the long-range plan that we've modeled in the financials, yes.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for the insight on. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Ms. Dale, back again for 12.
Yes, item number 12 is approval of the final water and sewer master plans, updating the 2007 water and sewer master plans.
Okay, good evening. So moving on to the second and third master plans of the evening. And just to explain what the master plans are, they're essentially a planning document for the utility to plan for future infrastructure and are typically updated every 5 years. The master plans that we currently are using were adopted in 2007. And since that time, we've had some changes to some of the council goals related to local water supplies. We've been talking about it a little bit this evening. Our goal that we've added into the plan is the 50% water independence by 2030. So the plans also needed to reflect current population data or growth, which has occurred since 2007, change conditions in the community as well as development. And we also contracted with Carollo engineers, as we did with the recycled water master plans in 2013. So they've been working for approximately 3 years on getting the plans complete. When developing the plans, the consultant used certain assumptions or inputs when starting their evaluations of both water and sewer systems. These included using the existing general planned land use categories, including the agricultural land use designation for the Morro Hills area, as well as the Sandag Regional Growth Forecast.
Kayla, how are you tonight?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you very much.
There you go. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. My name is Tila Cotter. I'm with the Transportation Engineering Section. This item before you is about the establishment of speed limits upon various streets in Oceanside. During the process of developing the recommended speed limits, I have been working with Sergeant Schickel and the City Attorney's Office during the analysis of the engineering and traffic surveys to ensure that all traffic elements and requirements are met and to ensure a compliance with current law. Staff is diligently working on updating the surveys at various locations throughout the city. Having an updated and valid survey is important because it allows law enforcement to enforce the posted speed limit. Without a valid engineering and traffic survey, police will not be able to write citations in accordance with the basic speed law, and in turn, they would not be able to enforce the posted speed limit. In determining which streets need a survey, staff looks at the California road system maps, which shows the classifications of the streets within Oceanside. All streets deemed local generally do not need a survey and have a prima facie speed limit of 25 miles per hour. All streets classified as collector and arterial require a survey. I understand the map's very tiny, but you get the basic idea that all the streets that you see on the map that are gray, those would be considered the local streets. Anything in color would be collector or arterial, such as arterial streets, or if you can tell, are red and green, and collector streets are purple and yellow. The yellow is very difficult to see. With current statutory and case law, the people essentially set the speed limit, which is determined through a survey. The main factors reviewed when generating an engineering and traffic survey are the critical speed, which is the 85th percentile, 85% of the traffic is moving. The speed limit needs to be posted within the nearest 5 mile per hour increment of the 85th percentile. However, the speed limit can be lowered under limited specified conditions. The 50th percentile is defined as that speed at or below which 50% of the traffic is moving. If a limit is posted under the 50 50th percentile, then the speed limit is suspect and will likely be determined as a speed trap and unenforceable. The city uses the accident rate to calculate the city's accident rate, which is then compared to this statewide accident rate. These factors will help produce a valid engineering and traffic survey that OPD can enforce. There are 30 segments that were evaluated, and of those 30 segments, 4 segments are being removed from the municipal code because they are deemed local per the CRS maps and have a prima facie speed limit of 25 miles per hour. Basically, this means that these 4 streets here will have a lower speed than what is currently posted today. And there are 9 segments that will have an increase in posted speed limit. And then there's 3 segments that will have a decrease in the posted speed limit. The rest of the segments, which there's 13 segments, won't have any change in the existing posted speed limit. Besides the 4 local roads that are being removed, the recommended speed limit for the remaining segments is based off the engineering and traffic survey. Right now, I'd like to introduce Sergeant Schickel to discuss speed traps and enforcement.
I'm going to discuss the application we have in court. Basically, if we don't have a proper speed limit that's posted supported by a speed survey, that particular segment of roadway is going to be determined to be a speed trap. And for us, it's completely unenforceable. And what that ultimately does is we're limited to enforcing speed at the maximum speed limits for that particular roadway. In this case, we'll use the 65 mile an hour. Item number 3 in your attachments, identify College Boulevard between Roselle and Thunder. It's currently posted 40. Based on the survey, it's required to be posted at 45. If we don't move that speed limit up, we can't conduct a basic speed enforcement to ensure proper traffic safety through that particular area. We would then be limited to 65 miles an hour. In essence, we would have to target vehicles that would be traveling 65 miles an hour, and frankly, that's unacceptable for safety within the community, in my opinion. So the staff report also mentions 3 specified reasons for lowering posted speed limits, and they are residential density, pedestrian and bicycle safety, and collision data. In application in our courts, the first 2 don't apply because the courts have interpreted being able to see pedestrians and bicycles as readily apparent to the drivers as they continue along the roadway. So for justifying the lowering of speed limits, while there are 3 specified within the traffic manual, in application we can only use 1. And the invisible value is the traffic collision ratio. And that's where really we're limited based on current statute and case law. And then with that, so that's where we're at. We're tied to that 85th percentile rule posting.
Thank you. So therefore, staff recommends that the City Council introduce an ordinance amending Article 14, Sections 14 and 14.1 of the Oceanside Traffic Code by the addition and changes of various subsections to establish various speed limits on various streets. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please have a seat at the sidebar, and we'll see if there are any questions. By the way, I was a law enforcement officer for a long time, and I understand the courts make these rulings, and they're set in stone. So I appreciate you coming and explaining. Thank you very much.
No public on this item.
No public. Back to us. Councilman Sanchez, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I want to thank staff for taking the time to meet with me to discuss the staff report and the list of segments that are included in recommendations to change the speed limits based on the studies that you've had. Pretty much what we talked about was that most of these are arterials, but there's at least one significant segment that has residents on both sides of the street, and that's the 3rd one out of the 30 segments, and that's College Boulevard between Thunder Drive to Roselle Drive. And we have been getting, I think from the beginning of time, we have been getting requests to try to slow down the traffic and or to ensure that we're able to stop the real bad speeders. And my understanding is because it is because the people who are getting the tickets are starting to hire attorneys to beat these traffic tickets in court, that the true speed per your analysis is, you're recommending that it go from 40 to 45, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I think you were pretty candid in what happens in court, that they have been, because, on a traffic ticket, you think, generally people represent themselves. And usually it's a judge that pretty much says, okay, how do you want to plead, guilty or not guilty? And so there's been a trend for people, because of the expense of, a speed ticket nowadays, that it seems to be making sense for individuals to hire an attorney and to really question whether or not there is a basis for that ticket, right? And the commissioners that we tend to have, the traffic judges that we tend to have here in North County, which might be different from, say, other parts of the county, are much more agreeable to dismiss the cases. Is that right?
That's typically what we're experiencing in court. Once the lawyers get involved with it, this particular survey used to be a valid survey for us.
Right.
Lots of enforcement had occurred, but then a lawyer got involved, then the judges or the commissioners reevaluated and said the survey was a speed trap and we no longer could conduct enforcement.
And I imagine there's a lot of advertising now. Hey, I can take care of your ticket, right? So you've got this experience that's going on now in our North County courthouse, and so response to the community, especially on Long College, is, look, we can continue to give these folks tickets, but they're going to continue to be thrown out. But if we do this, if we raise this to 45, which doesn't sound like it's the right thing to do, but if you raise it to 45, you will actually be able to get more of those speeders, and those tickets will be found. They will not be dismissed.
That's correct. And if I may add.
Yes, please.
NHTSA, National Highway Safety Traffic Administration, has conducted studies, 100 locations throughout the United States, and where they've taken and looked at the existing posted speed limit. They've raised it, they've lowered it, and there is no impact as to regard of that posting of the speed limit. People will drive what they want based on what they visually see, and that essentially has tied into what we're dealing with currently in court, that they're using what they can see, what's called readily apparent conditions, to drive at a speed which they think is safe.
Right. So for our residents on College, you anticipate that that your rate of ticketing and people and making them stick is going to increase tremendously. Is that right, Sergeant?
Yes, I would say a very, very high percentage conviction rate.
I think you said something about easy pickings or something. Could you explain?
Well, for those violators that are exceeding our standards, for lack of better, we don't cite necessarily at 47, although maybe a technical violation. The courts wouldn't accept that as a violation.
Right. We're talking about the real speeders.
When we start issuing the citations to the gross violators, that exceeding 10% of the sample, yeah, there's going to be quite a few violators. So
the community will actually see some relief in terms of speeding.
Once we get a valid posting in the survey, I would think that the immediate area would see a decrease very rapidly. Even my officers, El Camino Real, south of Oceanside Boulevard, we have a valid survey there now. They themselves noted within 2 weeks that the speeds had already slowed once we went in active enforcement.
Right, I think you said something about being able to get 300 tickets. If this were to go into effect, you could probably get that many tickets in did you say a day?
In a day.
In a day.
There's a lot of violators out there. We just need to have the right tools in place to make those contacts.
Right. So I guess the reason why I'm asking all these questions to get you to explain this in, I think words that we all can understand, is that increasing it by 5 miles an hour, even though it seems counterproductive, is actually going to get relief. That's what we anticipate, relief for our communities, including College Boulevard and all the other communities that are being listed here, that there will be adequate noticing, and that where the speed limit is actually decreased, and there are 3 of those, you're going to give people a chance to, you know, whatever, a month or something, to catch up with realizing that the speed limit has changed lower. But that in terms of going higher, you will immediately get those that are, go after those that are going even higher than that. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And for those 4 areas that have a decrease in speed, while the statute doesn't go into effect for 30 days from today, once the speeds are actually posted at that lower rate, we will provide an additional 30-day grace period beyond that as well, before enforcement would be taken.
So what we're hoping for here is enough notice to our communities that that are affected by this recommendation, to, you know, really look to see if the speed limit has changed. This is the notice. This is part of the notice that you're getting. You'll also get the notice, of course, right on the street. And just a shout out to our communities that we do believe that this is going to slow down the traffic, even though it sounds counterproductive for those that are where it's being raised, and that we're going to get more tickets, more enforcement, and that in fact is the only way that we're going to be able to slow down, unless we do significant traffic calming, like narrowing streets or something. This is the way to do it, right?
Yes, ma'am. It's the only way.
Okay. Well, based on all that, I'm going to make a move that we introduce the ordinance. I want to thank staff. I know it's sometimes feels like a thankless job to do these kind of surveys and try to explain that we can legally we can only enforce what that 85 percentile is, and once that goes into effect, we will be able to do more enforcement that'll stick. Right? Thank you.
Councilmember Kern, please.
Is there a motion in there?
We have a
someplace?
second.
I move to introduce. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll second the motion. I kind of lost it in there. Tia, thank you for doing this. I mean, I'm sure this was a lot of work on your half. I'm sure you carried David through it, but the idea that how often do we do these things? I mean, this is, I know in the last year we've talked about speed limits a lot, and I don't know if it was prompted by the community asking for this, or is this something you do on a normal rotation basis?
This is our 3rd round that we've brought to council, I think, over the last 2 years. And there's more coming, of course, but it is not, what prompted it is we have to have them done. I know that on collector and arterial streets mainly, we need to have an engineering and traffic survey. And so it's just something that we've been working on and trying to, you know, bring the council and get groups on and gather all the data needed to complete our engineering and traffic surveys.
And I really appreciate it. I'm sure the whole council appreciates the idea that we have data-driven decisions, that we can actually go back and say, this is why we're doing these things and what these speed limits really are. I do agree with the sergeant that people are going to drive the way people are going to drive. And just hopefully we can encourage them to drive correctly now because we have posted speed limits. So, thank you.
Councilmember Feller, please.
Thank you. I understand this totally. The people that live on College are never going to be happy because we've and it's the probably the council's fault because we closed off Rancho Del Oro. We're in the process of closing off Melrose Drive, and they're not going to be happy just because it's all forced onto College. And by the way, the traffic goes plenty slow there when it's quitting time and early in the morning, or at peak traffic times, it goes fairly slow. So I understand everything you're talking about here, and I just I want to commend the guys that are out there on the motors. I've noticed so many. Seems like much more activity just recently, and I think we're really getting after the guys that are making the really bad decisions. And I don't want to use the shooting fish in the barrel analogy Councilmember Sanchez used, but it shouldn't be any kind of we really shouldn't have the revenue stream if people obeyed the laws. So that's all I had to say.
Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wood. So I met with you a few weeks ago, and I appreciated the insight, and I've had subsequent meetings with other staff to understand this issue. And I, as a driver and as a pedestrian, as a person who rides a bicycle, cars are already driving way too fast out there. I understand the conflict that we have. If we don't post a sign that we can enforce in the courts, then we're not going to be able to ticket anybody. I can't even imagine you're going to pull every motorcycle we've got out 30 days after the signs are unveiled and start enforcing these speed limits. And I can't imagine that the drivers will get the message that they might get a ticket at any time, because I know in my experience that the officers are there doing the ticketing and then they stop showing up, and then the cars go back to driving 65 in the 45 zone. So I think this is strictly a Band-Aid, and I am going to approve this because we have to approve it. But I think the idea of increasing the speed limit and the whole counterintuitive thing around that, it is counterintuitive. If you're walking or riding a bicycle, you can't go any faster no matter what, and you share the roads with the people in the cars who are driving 65 miles an hour. So I appreciate the work that you're doing on this as well, and I hope that we're able to see some impact from this that's positive as far as speeds that people are going. So thank you for working with us on this. Thank you. What? I've tried pedaling faster. Yeah, buttons start falling off, and I have to stop and pick them up. So, thank you.
Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you. Just to clarify one comment earlier, the ordinance will become effective 30 days after its second reading or its adoption, which will be the next council meeting, not this one. So I'll go ahead and title this. This is the introduction of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Oceanside amending Article 14, Section 14, and Section 14.1 of the Oceanside Traffic Code to establish speed limits on various streets.
Thank you very much. Please vote.
Motion approved, 5-0.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 5-minute break, set up some presentations. Thank you. 5-minute break.
I don't know. We could start before.
Thank you, ladies. In the second half of the council meeting, we don't have very much per se to be on, but I will start in a few minutes. Could we start off with the council reports and finish those off? I'm
Yes.
first.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say, I went at the last council meeting, I was sick, my wife was sick like everybody else, and then my family came out from the East Coast, and I took them to all those places I didn't want to go, like Disneyland and Safari Land, and anyhow, with 4 small grandchildren, it wasn't all that fun, but we went. Thank you very much for my being excused. With that, that's all I have.
Great. Deputy Mayor Lowry.
Well, I have some interesting events that the library is supporting, and one of them is February 13th at El Camino High at the Truax Theater. It's called Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl. It's the Oceanside Library, the North County African American Women's Association, and the American Place Theater present a one-woman performance of Harriet Jacobs' Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl. That sounds like something that I might want to go see. 5:30 p.m. on February 13th. Also on February 20th at 1 p.m. here at the Civic Center Library is a concert by the Sirens of State. It's an a cappella vocal ensemble from SDSU, and it's a free event as well. And then they have another whole bunch of programs: a Valentine's Day story time, African Dance Rhythms program, and an American Sign Language story time on February 20th. A lot of things going on at the library, so you can look it up online or give them a call. That's it. Thank you.
Councilmember Feller.
Thank you. Last time we had a meeting, I talked about Annika and not being able to have the money to actually bury her, and so those of you that did help, I gave them from generous donations from the community as well as a few people around here, $220 to help bury her, and the family was totally taken back. So, and I know they raised more outside of that. 2 things. Mother Ethel May Buchanan passed away, and we had that funeral this last week on Saturday. But also Michelle Lund, one of our longtime employees, retired and her retirement ceremony was on Saturday night. She always made those terribly interesting numbers seem interesting, even though, it was like, I'm sure she looked at us like we were deer in the headlights. But my hat's off to Michelle for her considerable time on the council and the time that she made for all of us to understand her world of bonds. Unveiling of the Big Heart tomorrow in the morning at 8, 10:30, and then again at 6 o'clock, right here in the market area. The Arts Commission has put on. They had grant closure presentation the other day for Oceanside International Film Festival, and I don't recall, I think they had like 60-something films they showed, but the grant given really did great in promoting Oceanside. That was I think a $5,000 grant that the Arts Commission gave them, and And that was, I think that's pretty much it. There is a CERT Flapjack fundraiser Saturday at Applebee's, 8 o'clock in the morning. And that's it.
Great. Councilmember Kern.
Thank you. Just one correction to Councilmember Feller. Actually, the mayor, I, and Councilmember Feller attended not a funeral, but a celebration of life. And it was quite the celebration. And the idea that it was, I would probably say there was, 500 people in the church, at least. It was quite a good, and it was a good event. I mean, the idea that if anybody deserved a good event, it was her. So I really did appreciate that. Also, if KOCT can take a picture of the overhead off of me and put it on the overhead. The only thing I want to announce is February 6th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th is down at the Apothecary, the old Travelers Hotel. There's going to be Theater Arts West is going to be put on Boxing Love and Shakespeare's Women. So I would really encourage everybody to go to that. I don't know if Kathy's going to mention that as part of her speech later, but that would be great to go there. I know one of the artists that are presenting very well, so it would be great if you guys can go and support local art. The other thing that I have is that I went to Goat Hill yesterday, and it looks spectacular. I know some people went and played golf there, and I guess they did okay, but I heard conflicting reports. But the course is in really good shape. It is actually open on Friday, and I talked to the people there yesterday, and I guess Sunday morning is practically all booked up. I guess everybody wants to go out and play golf and get home in time for the Super Bowl. So their morning tee times are basically all booked. So, but it's a great course. It looks really good. So I encourage people to still go back and start contacting Center City Golf Course / Goat Hill and start playing there again. So thank you.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a beautiful celebration of life for Ethel May Buchanan, Mother Buchanan. It was at New Venture, and yeah, there were 500 people at least. It also, I mean, it was such a joyous celebration. There was a lot of singing, the choir, a lot of really great talks about, her and her, her hats and the things that she did within the community. It was also very much like a reunion for many of us, having grown up here with the Buchanan family. Her son, Tim Buchanan, who I went to school with, gave a very wonderful tribute to her. And I also attended the retirement party for Michelle Lund after 27 years of service to us. And I have to say, it became really evident to me almost immediately that Michelle, who was in charge of our investments, our millions of dollars, was such a true and honest and just a wonderful, hard-working person who made sure that not only that our investments were safe, but they were productive. So it's going to be very, very difficult to fill her shoes. And again, Michelle, thank you so much for all the work that you've done for us. There was another celebration in Oceanside. The Buena Vista Lagoon Audubon Society had a party this past Saturday to celebrate a 3-acre acquisition of land just next to the Buena Vista Lagoon on Coast Highway. So this land that once was targeted for hotel, residential, bottom line, it is finally where it should be, and that is it is going to be protected and preserved for eternity by the Buena Vista Lagoon Audubon Society in conjunction with the State Wildlife Agency. So it was a wonderful, wonderful party. The owner of the property was there, very, very excited that this land acquisition was made possible. So, finally, I know there were a lot of things going on in the city of Oceanside, but finally I want to say that someone very, very dear to me passed away this afternoon, my Aunt Emma Tellez, who grew up in Oceanside, moved to Solana Beach for a few years, but then came right back to Oceanside. Had the only girl on my dad's side, so 7 brothers and 1 sister. So you can imagine how protective they were growing up of her. And in fact, she and my dad were inseparable. So my Aunt Emma, my dear Aunt Emma, passed away today. She was ready. She was ready. I have so many wonderful memories, and I would like to ask you, Mayor, if we can adjourn in her memory, someone who gave a lot to the city in terms of, being a community person and raising a really, really wonderful family. And so I'm going to miss her dearly. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll go to the 6 o'clock meeting at the latest, you noticed here, but we'll take it on at invocation and whatever.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. If I could, ladies and gentlemen, if I could ask you to please stand for our invocation, which will be offered tonight by Zach Beck, our city clerk, and also youth pastor for the Fields Church.
Please join me in bowing our heads. Father, we come before you to say thank you. Thank you for the privilege, the blessing, the honor it is to reside here in the city of Oceanside. We come together tonight as a diverse community, a community of different backgrounds, different beliefs, different presents and different futures, yet one common goal, and that is the betterment of this city. We come together tonight to seek your guidance, wisdom, and discernment during the deliberations that transpire, and in doing so, we lift up our council members, Councilmember Feller, Councilmember Kern, Councilmember Sanchez, Deputy Mayor Lowry, and Mayor Wood. May you grant them peace and wisdom and guidance during their decisions. And with the time of loss, we do lift up Councilmember Sanchez and her family right now. May you provide them with peace and comfort during their loss, as well as with Mr. O'Doherty and the loss of his brother. May you grant his family peace and comfort during the season. And to all those in our community, may you continue to grant them peace and guidance and wisdom as well. We say these in your precious name. Amen.
If you will please remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance and invite Oceanside Police Explorers Brandon Atkins and Charles Dabney to lead us.
Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated. Hey, Helen, come on. Be seated. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have these people from the police department, Explorer Cadets, come here and do this every week, and we appreciate them. These are ranking ones. They've gone up the rank already. Sergeants? Yeah, I thought so. Would you please, another round of applause for these wonderful.
Now it's time for Pet of the Month. If Elkie Wills from the San Diego Humane Society would please come down and introduce us to your friend.
Trained.
Hi, everybody. This is Chubbs. They tell us 10. I find that very hard to believe. So we're going to say he's anywhere between 7 and 10. An American Pit Bull Terrier mix. Been at the shelter for a while, but he's become a staff favorite. He goes out to mobile adoption events and engages with the community and does such a fabulous job. As you can see, he's been learning a lot of tricks. He's actually pretty easygoing besides, I have found the obsession with toys and playing fetch. So if you love throwing a ball around, or you want to, you want to do a little exercising with your canine companion, Chubbs would be a fantastic addition to your family. His adoption fee is just $25, and then he's already neutered and vaccinated and ready to go. Microchipped. Oh, he's not as interested. He's more interested in what I'm saying. He would do okay with some dogs. He prefers some over others. So a dog introduction would be necessary, but just a great dog. We took him out to eat this afternoon, and he just settled in, ate his bone while we had our lunch outside in a patio, so just would make a great companion. Would do great at our Walk for Animals, which is coming up February 20th in Escondido. Then we have a second one on May 7th at Liberty Station, so we invite you to join us there, start a walk team, or come on out if you have a business and you're interested in promoting. We have those opportunities too. Also, we have our Compassion Awards, which is deadlining on February 12th. This gives people an opportunity to nominate big animal lovers in our community. We have our Animal Impact Award, which is basically nominating an animal who's made a real impact on another human being. So whether it's a service animal, a dog who's maybe saved a family in a fire, cats have done that as well, so that's one option. The Humane Hero Award, where a business, individual, or organization has made a big impact on animals in the community. And then we have pet-friendly business sections as well. So all of that's on our website, and I invite you to look at that if you know anybody who fits one of those categories, to nominate them. It's a lot of fun, and they're showcased in our San Diego Pets magazine. And then, of course, our dog park that we don't want to forget, and we invite you out. We do close at dusk, but it's a great way to get your dogs out and socialize. Thank you.
Let's hear for this wonderful people that bring these every time. This would be a great dog from somebody from Sandag, or the new assistant city manager. Thank you.
Up next, I would like to introduce Colleen Clemenson. She is the principal planner from Sandag, and she has come to make a presentation to us about San Diego Forward, the regional plan.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor and members of the council. I really appreciate you giving me a few minutes today to share with you a little bit about what's going on in the region, and talk with you about the regional plan, which the Sandag Board of Directors unanimously adopted this past October. Over the summer, one of my staff came out and gave you a presentation about what was in the plan, and it includes more than $204 billion of investment between now and the year 2048 in our regional transportation network. And the goal is really, of this plan, is to create transportation choices, create great communities for all of the cities and the county of San Diego. A key part of implementing this plan is the use of our half-cent sales tax Transnet, and that's the extension to Transnet was approved by the voters in 2004, and that goes out through the year 2048. But the new regional plan, the recently adopted regional plan, calls for or includes an additional new funding source. And so currently, the Sandag Board of Directors is exploring the possibility of putting something on the ballot this fall. So we are going out and kind of bringing everybody up to date on what is in the regional plan and what some of the steps are that are underway as the board considers the potential for a new funding measure. The regional plan was based on these three goals: creating healthy communities and a healthy environment. If we have more transportation choices, people have other ways of getting around. They can be healthy if they're riding their bikes and walking, and we can also improve our air quality. And in doing that and preserving our open space and also allowing goods and services to move more freely throughout the region, we can create a more vibrant community. So those are the three goals: healthy environment and communities, innovative mobility and planning, and then vibrant economy. We've all seen the numbers that between now and the year 2050, the region is projected to grow by about another 1 million people. That will include about 460,000 new jobs, and will require about 325,000 new housing units throughout the region to support the projected growth. And every time we do one of these regional plans, we do a regional growth forecast and look at what all of your local plans have underway, and some demographic trends. And one of the things that we did with this particular growth forecast in preparing this plan is we went back and looked at the growth forecast that was done 15 years ago in 1999. And at that time, growth was really projected to continue out into the backcountry. The brown dots on this map represent job growth, and then the gold show residential. And so you see how the residential growth was going much more out to the east in comparison to what the plans look like today in 2015. And you see that growth is concentrated really in the western third of the region, and there's a lot more open space planned. A lot of that has to do with the County of San Diego's general plan. When they updated their general plan, they really clustered development and put a lot more areas in for open space. With that, ASHA presents an opportunity, if we're going closer together, to provide more transportation options for our urbanized areas. And the regional plan includes a fairly significant investment in public transit, including 5 new trolley lines. One of those is the Mid-Coast that you might be familiar with, which will connect from Old Town San Diego up to UCSD. So that's a big project that's underway. There's another new rail line planned along the 805 corridor, and probably more importantly to residents of Oceanside, it also includes some express sprinter service as well as double tracking in places with a coaster to speed up that coaster service. The plan also includes a fairly significant investment in what we call managed lanes, high occupancy vehicle lanes, the lanes that can be shared for carpooling, buses, as well as individuals can pay to utilize those lanes. Also in the plan, in addition to the managed lanes, which will be on most all of the major freeway corridors in the region, the plan includes the I-5 North project that I know you're familiar with, the 578 interchange, the HOV lanes on the 78, and also includes the Buena Vista Lagoon project. And then the third area in terms of regional transportation investments is really in biking and walking. And there are a number of new bikeway projects planned, and really completing those that have been underway for some time, including completion of the Inland Rail Trail, which you know runs along the Sprinter Corridor, and the Coastal Rail Trail, which runs essentially along the coaster from Oceanside down to downtown San Diego. And then there's the Bayshore Bikeway, which is from San Diego around National City, Chula Vista, Imperial Beach, and then up to Coronado, and does that whole loop around the bay. So really that all connects in with the Coastal Rail Trail for a nice long system. The plan also assumes that technology will help even make these investments better. So everything from providing residents with real-time information about where there's congestion or when the next bus is coming, as well as communications between buses and signals so that we're not waiting longer at traffic lights, and also thinking about what the private sector investment can do to help improve the network. So that's things like car share, which has been successful, bike share, which is just getting underway, Uber and Lyft, which are all private enterprises, but are ways to help people get to transit and to help people ride share and get around, and really providing more transportation options. Also thinking about driverless vehicles. If we have driverless vehicles, we can probably fit more vehicles on the freeway and help address congestion issues. So those are all things that the private sector is working on that can help complement the network. These next couple slides just show a little bit more detail about the projects that I mentioned. But the Transnet has really been the key to the success of our regional transportation network, and many of the recent projects, the Interstate 15 managed lanes are a good example. We're in the process of working on the Mid-Coast trolley project, as I mentioned. There's the South Bay Bus Rapid Transit. We have a lot of the coaster improvements already going into place. And over 650 projects have been built through the Transnet extension and the previous Transnet measure. And one of the reasons that we've been able to do so much is we've sort of leveraged the the dollars out to 2048 and borrow against those future revenues. So what the voters voted on in 2004, there was a list of projects, and most of those are coming close to being done or in the near term to be completed. And once Interstate 5 North project is done and the Mid-Coast Trolley is done, we're really going to be sort of paying our bills between now and 2048. So that's part of the reason for looking at the potential of a new measure. Some of the other things that we funded through Transnet are a number of grants to local jurisdictions, including Sandag helped to fund the improvements here on Mission to make it more pedestrian friendly, and I know we've been working with you as well on plans on Pacific Highway. And for the public's benefit and all of us, really, this is something that we've put up on our Keep San Diego Moving website that lists all 650 projects, what's been done, how much they cost, and some details about each of them, because we really want to help share information about what the taxpayer dollars have gone to date. When it comes to the new ballot measures I mentioned, our new regional plan assumes a new funding source. And really what this would allow us to do is the projects that are in the plan that everybody likes, that you want to have happen sooner, those could really be advanced. And that's part of the goal. We could get them all done, but it would just take a lot longer. So if there is an interest from the public in doing it sooner, then this would be a way to do that. Some of the things that could be included in the measure include the projects in the regional plan, moving those up into an earlier phase. There's discussions underway about should there be a piece the way we have today in Transnet, a piece that's set aside for local governments, local projects. What might that include? Water quality, and then the current Transnet measure calls for us to go back to the voters on a habitat piece, and so habitat would likely be a part of anything that would go before the voters. So we conducted a number of town hall meetings. I don't know if any of you heard about them, but we did telephone town hall meetings, which were a really interesting thing we've never done before. And we had more than 5,000 people participate on several evenings, which as a planner, I've had so many workshops and you work so hard and you're grateful when you get 40 or 50 people to turn out. But when we had 4,000 people call in, listen to a panel presentation and ask questions, we thought that was a great way to get information out and to hear what the public is thinking about this. There's also an online survey that is up and running, so everyone is invited to provide your input there on your thoughts. And then we have a number of public meetings that are planned. And this Friday, both our transportation and regional planning committees will be getting a report from staff on where we are in the process. The public is invited to provide input there as well. February 12th, so that's the Board of Directors policy meeting. There will be another opportunity for the public to weigh in and provide their thoughts and ideas on a potential ballot measure. The Board of Directors will be having their annual retreat, and on March 10th, again, the public is invited to come and provide their thoughts and ideas on a potential measure. The Board of Directors, we were anticipating that March 25th, they may be making a decision about whether to go or not go forward. I think it's looking now like we might need a little bit more time, and so it might be more like the April 10th meeting, but there will still be an opportunity for people to weigh in on March 25th. So that wraps up what I had to say, and I'm happy to take back any suggestions, thoughts, ideas that you all have and answer any questions. Thank you.
Well, first off, I want to thank you for the update and presentation. I do appreciate, I'm sorry I made you wait, but it was kind of some important stuff today. But for myself, really says Transnet and Sandag are trying to move up some of the projects. You know, we don't have the money. I think the initiative on the ballot was saying, hey, if you really like to move some things forward in your city, within the county, this is the way to do it for a minimal amount on your tax bill, half cent or something. It's really important. It's like here in the North County, I-5, Diamond Lanes, 78 corridor are in the plans, and we need the money, and those are things that really impact us. with a half cent or something else going to a ballot initiative, Transnet. We've done a lot in the county, but traffic is still heavy. That's because everybody wants to move to Southern California. So some of that traffic delays could be improved by voting for this. I hope people look at it, learn a lot. I'm going to support it. There's no doubt in my mind. I hope everybody else does. As for that, I'll see you down there next Friday. Thank you. Anybody else? Hey, let's see if Mr. Kern, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just, a couple quick questions. One that kind of struck me as odd is the water quality thing. You know, Sandag, you know, their transportation, you know, move people around, get them where they need to go. I was on that committee with Crystal Crawford about the quality of life issue, which, you know, part of the Transnet 2 is going to come back. It sounds like Mission Creek to me. I mean, so who threw in water quality? That's not what Sandag does.
Water quality is something that has come up for years as an interest on behalf of cities and developers as well. And as we build road infrastructure, we have to deal with water quality and all of the permitting. Right now, you know, that's good feedback if that's not something of interest to include. There has been some discussion about whether something like that would fit more into the local piece, if there were a local piece of funding, that maybe the water quality fits there, and that it's not necessarily something Sandbag is administering. So that could go any way. It's just sort of out there, see where it sticks, and take some suggestions about how that could be implemented.
So, and you're planning to try to put this on the November ballot?
That is what the board of the Sandag Board of Directors need to decide very soon if they want to put it on the November ballot because of the various steps that need to be taken.
Well, good luck with that, because I think the November ballot's going to weigh about 35 pounds. You know, listen to all the, you know, all the initiatives that are going to come forward, so it's going to get lost there. But no, but thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Sanchez, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the ballot measures, we pretty much, City of Oceanside, I should say, here in the north, we tend to, or I tend to see that we get less back from something like a county tax. And in fact, the second ballot measure, the most recent one, included finishing 76, which should have been included in the one previously. We have a project that seems to be having difficulty in getting finished, the Coastal Rail Trail, which has been a priority for Sandag for several years now, and yet we still can't seem to be able to finish within the top category to be able to get funded. I think we have a $5 million gap. So it's kind of disheartening to know and see that all these great projects that are happening throughout the county, especially South Bay and San Diego, and yet Oceanside or the North County seems to get less money. That's the impression that we have. Yeah, we had been talking about a quality of life measure to include the habitat conservation to basically balance out economic and environmental sustainability going forward. But we also talked about sand replenishment, which is something that we care a lot about here in Oceanside. We were calling it quality of life, like Councilmember Kern mentioned, and I didn't see that there, sand replenishment. And that's something, since I was on have been on the preservation committee, talking again and again, over and over again, about the potential for having this quality of life half-cent tax. To have it left out, I just feel like we're being left out. So, I think that we would like to see new things. I especially, but I would also like to see the ability to finish some of the projects that we've started. And unfortunately, just at the very least, the Coastal Rail Trail that we really tout here in San Diego County, but also to ensure pedestrian and bicycle-friendly communities. So those are my comments. I think that we're going to have to face the music in terms of, well, why can't we finish our current projects, under the current tax that we have? How are we going to be assured that we are going to be competitive and get our fair share of these funds?
Yeah.
So,
Maybe I could answer just a couple of questions. First of all, now is the time. We can add sand replenishment to the list as one of the things that could be considered. And I just wanted to make it clear that the new funding source is really meant to help advance and make happen faster the projects that are in the plan. So not finish. We can still finish the projects. They just might take longer. But I hear exactly.
To the public is going to be, okay, here we go again. 76 wasn't able to be completed, and here we are again. Where these projects are not completed, and we need another tax.
Yeah, understood.
So,
yes.
Mr. Feller, please.
Thank you. The idea that Oceanside is kind of on the north end of this, we are being slighted when it comes to what gets finished first. And I realize that the county and the city of San Diego pull a lot of weight, but I mean Poway, they all have very wide freeways. It's a dream to drive on Highway 15 most of the time. It's busy, but it's nothing like I-5. As far as you said 200 and something billion, what was the number?
204.
204. And I saw 101 billion. It looked like it was for mostly transit, and so that means you're going to spend more on transit than you are, because there was 5 or 6 billion on your presentation for bicycles, or I think it was bicycle. So I'm not opposed to any of it, but it seems like the roads are taking a hit again. And Transnet there was a 90s version of Transnet, but there have been 2 since 2000, 2 taxes that have made Highway 76 work. I mean, they've really made that, and that it is gas tax money that we're talking about. And California is the highest. We're 80, 90 cents more a gallon than Arizona. It's ridiculous, and so you're going to see people being hit in the pocketbook, even though it's $2.44 a gallon right now at Mosen's down the street. It is, $1.10 in places. So that's a serious thing to think about, and I agree with Councilmember Kern. Sandag doesn't have any need to be in water quality. Water uses and that type of thing are not something Sandag should be involved with. You're going to have to deal with water quality issues in the construction of all these things. So, and I would definitely put sand replenishment on there, because that is something that Sandag has done a couple of times in the past. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Wood. The website sdforward.com is so extensive. I went to a presentation at one of the Sandag meetings, and the woman who responds to when consumer requests for more information is very willing to give people whatever it is they want to know about. So if people have questions about really how many dollars are going to be spent on infrastructure improvements as far as roadways or bicycle ways or sidewalks, they can send an email down there via this address, or they can look at the website if they want to spend a little time and really find things out. It's a very extensive website. I think Sandag's doing a great job of making the information available, and people can decide what they want to do with that. If they have questions, they should definitely direct their interest to Sandag so that the staff knows what the community wants. When we go down to the meetings and we're just one person who can vote up along with 18 other agencies or municipalities, you know, we feel pretty small. So I'm not going to complain about anything that Sandag has proposed, but I really think it's important that the people know what it is that they want. So thank you for presenting this to us.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
I guess that's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you all.
Could we go with the city attorney next? Closed session.
Thank you. City Council met in closed session to discuss item 2A on the agenda, conference with real estate negotiator. Properties are the portion of Rancho Del Oro right-of-way north of State Route 78, west of Vista Way, the portion of Haymar Drive right-of-way south of State Route 78, west of College Boulevard, and the portion of the relinquished right-of-way at southeast corner of SR 76 and Airport Road. Negotiating parties are City of Oceanside and BGT Media, Outfront Media, and Lamar Outdoor Advertising. Under negotiations are price and terms for the use of the real property interest. The matter was discussed. There's no reportable action under the Brown Act at this time. There was no meeting on item 1 on the agenda, the labor negotiation item.
Thank you very much. Item number 20, please, Kathy.
Ms. Kathy Nichol may come forward this time.
Hi, Kathy.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, viewing public and attendees, my name is Kathy Nichol. I'm from Main Street Oceanside, our downtown business association, and I'm here to talk about a couple of events in Oceanside. Thursday is Market Day in Oceanside. We do a traditional farmers market on Thursday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., and then Sunset Market from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., both on Thursday. Tomorrow morning, we will be putting up the inflatable heart at 6 a.m. so that we can be seen on San Diego 6, get the word out for Oceanside Valentine's Week. But in conjunction with that, we had already planned Public Safety Night. Our Oceanside Fire, Police, and Lifeguards will be showing a static display at our Sunset Market again this year and handing out information on how you can be part of the safety team, as well as information for the children and families on how to be safe in their home and surf and swim on the water. So please come down. That is tomorrow, Public Safety Night. We will have the heart at the day market with the mayor, I think, in the morning. And we have a ribbon cutting in the morning at the day market and a ribbon cutting in the evening at the Sunset Market. So please come down. And that opens it up to Oceanside Valentine's Week, which is all the paperwork that's underneath that. It's a busy week. I just talked about the day market and the Sunset Market tomorrow, which is Thursday. On Friday, we have Art Walk throughout the downtown. 19 businesses show art throughout downtown with music, a few toddies. OceansideArtWalk.com is the website. And then that's on Friday. We will have the heart at the museum. On Saturday and Sunday, unfortunately, we will only have the heart on Saturday, but on Sunday, of course, it's Super Bowl Sunday. I'm not going to tell you which team I'm voting for. Military Mondays, they will be holding weddings at the park at Seagaze in the Strand. And then on Tuesday, Main Street, Oceanside will hold their mixer at Apothecary. Wednesday, Hearts and Rods Cruise. And then, of course, throughout the whole week, we have at Apothecary our Boxing with Love, and that is artwork presented by our local artist Blake Kern with theatrical shorts throughout the salon in the evening from 7:30 on. That's the 6th through the 10th of February. Is that correct? Okay. Okay, 11th, 12th, and 13th? Wow, 7 days of fun. I love it. Then on Thursday, we will have the Heart again at the Sunset Market with carriage rides. On Friday, we have a tango event at the Museum of Art and a Valentine's dance at the Oceanside Elks Lodge. Saturday, we have a movie at the Pier, Tangled and Sleepless in Seattle. That is free. You can also register earlier that day for a bike walk or run. And then on Saturday, Valentine's Day, we have our harbor paddle out and the Oceanside's Valentine's walk and run and bike ride. So all that information is on our website, mainstreetoceanside.com, or visit oceanside.com. And there are a lot of great other things that are going on, like our sunset cruises. So please check out the website, and we hope to see you in the downtown during Valentine's Week. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
At this time, Jimmy Knott can come forward to speak. Jimmy, it's your turn. Yeah.
Mayor, council members, Jimmy Knott, 127 Sherry Lane. A little bit closer, thank you. I just wanted to bring to your attention that we had this last week or so, the first person under age 65 to die from influenza, from the H1N1 strain of influenza. So just want to let you know that we need to take and advocate for all of our citizens to be immunized, especially those who are basically have conditions like asthma, diabetes, lung disease, pregnant women, children under 5 years of age, people 65 of age and older, and people who care for others. And also, the key thing is if you are sick, stay at home. Don't take and share what you have. If you're out and about and you do have a cold and you have to get out, use your hand sanitizers. Get that out going. Wash your hands frequently. Stay away from the sick people. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Let's say after you shake hands or anything, touching anything. And clean surfaces commonly. So those are a few tips the county has given out, and I wanted to pass on and encourage everybody to get their flu shot, and if you're a little bit older, to get your pneumonia shot as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 22 is requested by Councilmember Sanchez for a vote and resolution in support of SB 270 on the November 2016 ballot regarding single-use plastic bags and direction to staff. And as discussion begins on this, I want to let you know that we did receive 2 agenda item position slip on this one in favor of this item, and we distributed those to all the council members earlier this morning, so just to let you know.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to ask for a point of order, because we discussed the plastic bag ban less than a month ago, and before we go forward, I'd like to see if there's a motion and a second to hear the item.
I placed this on the yeah, so I should be able to do the presentation. Yeah, thank you. Okay, well, first of all, I want to say that I am very happy and excited to do this presentation. This is something that, but for a referendum that received signatures based on being funded by companies, plastic bag companies that are outside of the state of California, this actually would have been law by now. So 270, what 270 does, would do and would have provided would be a statewide ban on single-use plastic bags at grocery stores and pharmacies, and that would have happened by July 2015, last year, and at convenience and liquor stores by July 2016. SB 270 has been something that in Sacramento had been worked on over and over and over again for several years, and finally when it did receive majority support and was passed by the governor in 2014, was really widely supported. So now that there is a referendum, and I think that this is, even though it seems a little bit early to be bringing this to our public at this time, because it's going to be on the November ballot, it's actually a good time because there's going to be a lot of money spent by the plastic bag companies that are, again, from outside of California, to convince people that plastic bags actually serve some good in our communities. City of Oceanside, back in August actually 25th, 2010, became a leader in zero waste. We actually, in the county, we actually did a proclamation saying that we are going to achieve zero waste in Oceanside. The immediate goal was to get to 75% diversion of trash by 2020. But really, when we talk about zero waste, we're talking about going all the way to 90%. So in June 2012, the City Council, actually most of the people who are here on the council now, unanimously, that's, all of us, voted to adopt a zero waste strategic resource management plan. And in that plan was included reduction of single-use plastic bags and passage of an ordinance in the first phase of the plan, and that would be by 2017. Now, why plastics? Well, we know that in order to reduce trash, and we know that 30% of roadside litter is plastic, and plastic bags are among the top 3 items found littered on beaches and waterways, and frequently block stormwater flows and grates and drains. We know that plastic bags are a real problem. How do we reduce this item? Now, for many of us, it takes changing the way we do things. Using a recyclable bag, remembering to put those bags into our cars and use them. And while many of us are trying to do that on a voluntary basis, having a statewide ban would really gain the absolute most attainable in reducing plastic bags. We know that 117 local jurisdictions throughout California have already adopted bans regarding single-use plastic bags. We also have got an indication by at least a majority of the council to do our own ordinance on plastic bags, and that's going through the system here, going through a public process. And we also know that there is wide support for to ban plastic bags. There's a whole list of supporters statewide that include the 7th Generation Advisors, All One Ocean, Azul, Black Surfers Collective, California Asian Pacific Chamber of Commerce, California Association of Environmental Health Administrators, California Coastal Coalition, California Coastkeeper Alliance, California Grocers Association, California League of Conservation Voters, California Retailers Association, California State Lands Commission, Californians Against Waste, Center for Biological Diversity, cities of Clayton, Concord, Encinitas, Long Beach, Los Angeles, Palm Desert, Palo Alto, Sacramento, San Jose, San Rafael, Santa Monica, Sunnyvale, City and County of San Francisco Department of the Environment, City of Long Beach, City of Oceanside Water Utilities Department also signed on, Clean Oceans Competition, Clean Water Action, Command Packaging, Contra Costa Clean Water Program. There's a whole other page of all these coalitions and organizations and cities that have signed on to 270. So what I'm asking the public, because this is really about quality of life for Oceanside, what I'm asking the public is, first of all, to voluntarily, urging you to voluntarily stop using plastic bags and to use recyclable bags, and to really kind of change that habit that we all have developed to, go to the store and, when they ask you if you have, now they're asking, certain places are asking whether you want a plastic bag or not. So, in all, what this resolution states is the Oceanside City Council encourages all city residents to avoid usage of single-use plastic bags whenever possible, that the council expresses its support for implementation of SB 270 and urges voters to consider the environmental impacts of single-use plastic bags and to therefore vote in favor of adoption and implementation of SB 270 on the November 2016 ballot. Pending implementation of SB 270, the Oceanside City Council urges all businesses within the city to implement measures to reduce the usage of single-use plastic bags by their customers. And pending the implementation of SB 270, that the council supports staff's current public education and outreach efforts regarding the adoption and implementation of a city ordinance banning single-use plastic bags. That is what this resolution states. And I am hoping that the council, in light of its indication of possibly adopting a city ordinance, that we can go ahead and be united on this and vote in favor of this resolution. And I believe there's full of people, yeah.
Yes, at this time, we have 3 members of the public wishing to speak on this item. First, we have Nadine Scott, second, Victor Roy, and last, Aaron Morin. I don't know.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As you know, I was the chairwoman of the Integrated Waste Commission for the City of Oceanside for quite some time, and this particular issue is near and dear to our hearts. We work very hard with staff and a consultant to come up with a zero waste reduction management plan. It's really good. We were like one of the first in our whole area to come up with it. Now the County of San Diego is looking at our plan to see how they want to proceed with theirs. There's absolutely no reason not to support this resolution if you believe in banning plastic bags. It doesn't bypass the efforts we're making in the city to implement our plan. It augments it. It's complementary to it. I've read SB 270. It's extraordinarily well written. It allows, in particular, my area of concern is our small business people in Oceanside. We have a lot of small businesses we want to keep around. We don't want to tell them they have to ban plastic bags immediately. I don't think that's fair. SB 270 makes common sense exceptions based on revenue totals and square footage. So the little guys, say our folks down at the harbor, they're not going to be caught up in the state law if it passes again. They'll have exceptions that are justifiable and really guaranteed to be good to our small business people. The large grocers, they already see the writing on the wall. They're going to go along with this. Right now, the plastic bag companies are working overtime trying to find recyclable products and shift their manufacturing infrastructure over to that. They know what's going on. It's polluting our waterways, our oceans, our fish are eating it. And it's really simple to take a bag with you. If you forget it, you go back out to your car. I've had to do it many times. So I do urge that you'll support the referendum item in November through this resolution and to continue our wonderful efforts towards zero waste and plastic bag ban in Oceanside. Thank you very much.
Hey, good evening, Council, Honorable Mayor, Council members, Victor Roy, Rancho San Luis Rey. Nadine stole my thunder. I totally have all of those sentiments for the support of SB 270, well-written, thoroughly researched. The implementation eventually will come, and we'll see that soon. Plastic bags and in the total environmental impact that it has, the negative impact can be removed and eliminated. We can take that first step forward by supporting our resolution from our own city and our council here. I would like to point out that I have been, in lieu of taking a plastic bag out of a store such as Walmart, I was given their reusable bag, and the bag did not last very long. I had 2 or 3 uses, and it split apart. So for all of the businesses out there that are going to substitute, sell reusable bags, please make the reusable bags much stronger so the reusable part of it can last for a year or more, not 2 or 3 uses. All right, thank you.
Hi, Erin Gilligan-Warren at 1241 Chambord Court. I'm in favor of this because I worked with Nadine on the Integrated Waste Commission, and I brought this forward. And I really do believe that we do need, in our zero waste, we've got to keep going towards that goal, and I agree with this. I also believe in SB 270, thank you. And I think it's a good thing because now I'm seeing counties starting to adopt these kind of plans. I'm seeing a lot of support throughout the state. So this is huge. So I think Oceanside's doing the right thing in supporting SB 270. So I hope we keep up the good work and we'll work for other things in the future for our city. So thanks.
Jimmy.
Mayor, council members, Jimmy Knott, 127 Sherry Lane. Taking a little bit advantage of this, and Councilmember Kern is correct, we, the council, did take and consider this and set forward with staff to basically get the public's opinion. And we have 2 more community workshops, which I think the public should be invited to. On February 4th, from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Chavez Resource Center, there's going to be a community workshop. And then on February 6th, from 9 a.m. till noon at the El Corazon Senior Center. And this is an opportunity for the public to come forward and give their own opinion about the city ordinances on to potentially the recycled bags and using those, or to take them with the bag ban, as some people call it, and also for those of multiple bag uses and for the zero waste plan. So I wanted to make sure that that was basically brought forward to everybody as a sort of an advertisement, and to say that yes, there are those of us who sit on the commission who have to consider this, and I will reserve any opinion that I have, since I sit on the commission, before I hear all that the public has to say. Thank you.
No further public on this item.
Back to me.
My mic, it's your closing, but...
Thank you.
You want to
Okay.
make a motion on that too?
Thank you. I have actually had a chance to attend several of these committee meetings, and while the discussions have not been in depth and we've not been able to really have votes or anything like that, we were really talking to representatives like HOAs, boards. It seems to me that our community is willing to support something like this because we as a community do care about Oceanside, you care about what our oceans look like, what our waterways look like. Do you care that the fact that a lot of these bags get eaten up by fish, and so it becomes part of the food chain? Again, this is 30% of roadside waste is our plastic bags, and the statewide law would really get us to the maximum to the maximum achievable goal of getting rid of plastic bags. There is, and yes, thank you very much, Jimmy, for bringing those dates, putting those dates on. We are also considering we will be considering a city ordinance. That is not before us right now. In fact, it's still going through the process, still going through, public outreach. And I believe it's also going to go through the city attorney's office. But for now, I think it's real important to make this statement and to urge our residents, our voters, to please, in November, I know it's going to be, as it's been suggested, it's going to be a huge ballot, but please look at and I don't have the number yet, please look at what's 270 and please vote to support the ban statewide. And if there is not a second, that's fine. This is a presentation. This is absolutely critical. Education and outreach. Everyone that we can reach to talk about this is going to help us to get to that statewide law. Thank you.
Do we have a second?
Did you make a motion? I didn't hear a motion.
Yeah, it's by motion.
Okay, all right.
We have no second. We had voted on this once before. It had failed. Not this item, but the plastic bag. So without a second, we don't have a motion. Anyhow, thank you very much. With that, the only item I have left is to close and say that Wednesday, February 17th, the next meeting at 3:30 at this location. Esther, if you want to address the issue regarding your font at the end.
Yes, thank you very much. If we can adjourn, in loving memory of my aunt, Emma Tejas, who lived almost all her life in Oceanside, a great person, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you, Emma Tejas.